New overnight, we have learned a capital murder suspect is now in custody in San Marcos. Here's what we know. Police tell us they arrested Avery Saul Bowman Jr. in connection to Saturday's deadly shooting. Earlier this week, police arrested Jeremiah Jaden Tobias, also in connection to the deaths. There is his picture. Investigators say this all started over a fight over a woman. 2 people died, including Anthony Barrera. And we spoke to Barrera's father about how devastated he is to learn that his son is no longer here.
Still text him. I've been texting him. Good morning, good night, as if he was still here.
Yeah, we did ask the San Marcos Police Department about, is it violent in downtown? And when we look at the last couple of years, they have increased as far as calls, but the numbers are few. In the first half of 2024, there were 6 aggravated assaults. Police said that there were 13 in the first 6 months of this year.
Public Health is advising people to get up to date on their MMR vaccines after finding traces of measles in Austin Travis County wastewater. So far this year, 2 people in the county have tested positive for the virus. Both had been traveling. Health officials remind everyone this is a very contagious virus contracted through breathing contaminated air or touching an infected surface. And they say 1 out of every 10 people are unprotected because they are not vaccinated. Now, for some depth on this comes on the heels of the West Texas outbreak that started at the beginning of this year. As of now, the epicenter, Gaines County, is no longer in outbreak status. It hasn't had a new case in more than a month, according to the Department of State Health Services. More than 760 people were infected in Texas alone this year. Of those cases, 2 people died. A Lockhart storefront is in shambles after a truck drove straight through it. Magic Mirror Vintage is in cleanup mode this evening. We're told the man driving the truck was leaving the bank across the street when he lost control and accidentally drove into the shop. The business owner says she is hoping to reopen as soon as possible to make sure her employees can get paid. She also told us she is feeling the support of the community.
People have been really sweet and giving me hugs and just showing a lot of empathy, and I love my town, so I'm very lucky.
Now, there is a GoFundMe set up for those looking to help. We have that information for you over on KXAN.com. Just search for Lockhart. Well, we're getting in between the loss and rebuilding after the recent floods, there are still questions about what public safety warnings should look like going forward. On this first day of the state's special legislative session, there was talk about a bill that would give local governments more help with emergency communication systems. Our Jayla Washington reports.
We sent out invitations to flood-impacted families. Unfortunately, nobody's going to be with us today because there's a lot of funerals happening this week.
A chilling reality after Texas's July floods claimed the lives of at least 135 people. Now,
if everyone will just stand with me in silence for a minute, we're going to start with that. Thank you.
This moment of silence. At the Capitol on the first day of the legislative session, advocates push for legislation they feel could make a difference in future disasters.
If your only warning system is a cell phone alert, what happens to those who don't have one? Or those who live in areas where the signal is weak or non-existent?
House Bill 13 passed the House but not the Senate in the regular session. It would create a council to run a grant program and help local governments statewide with emergency communications equipment, and would also require the council to implement communication technology into the state's communications network.
A lot of Texans don't understand why we're not using a piece of legislation that's already written that would literally prevent the kind of tragedy.
It's going to be something that will be looked at. The reality also is this, and that is what's needed in that river basin at that location could be far different than what's needed in some other river basin across the state.
And as neighbors rebuild, a continued call for more action.
We have to get in there with our hands.
Jayla Washington, KXAN News.
And under House Bill 13, any local government would be eligible to be a part of the grant program to help with emergency communications. They would just need to submit a proposal to that newly created council. The money would only be allowed to be used for buying emergency equipment like radios and spare parts, as well as building radio towers, also adapting, maintaining, and upgrading equipment, and also first responder equipment training. Well, a new Texas special session got underway at the Texas Capitol, and while the House only met for 10 minutes, the Senate spent hours debating the validity of redrawing the state's congressional map in the middle of the decade.
Adam Schwager talked with Texas legislators today, including Democrats who say they are prepared to leave the state and break quorum to stop redistricting.
The Texas legislature has 30 days to discuss Governor Greg Abbott's tailor-made list of priorities for this special session.
Give comfort for those grieving and mourning the loss.
Top of mind for both parties, the Independence Day floods that claimed more than 100 lives.
My heart goes out to all the people that lost family members.
Also on the agenda, an unusual mid-decade redrawing of Texas's congressional districts, which President Donald Trump hopes will result in 5 new Republican House seats.
We all deserve to have a voice.
Some Democrats are ready to stop it by fleeing the state and preventing the House from reaching the 100 members needed to conduct business.
We are willing to bear that risk. We are willing to make that sacrifice. At least some of us are.
The only action taken on Monday, adopting rules about the redistricting process. It allowed Senate Republicans to explain their reason for bringing mid-decade redistricting forward.
We're responding to the governor's call to take up redistricting in this special session.
And for Democrats to directly question their colleagues.
Wouldn't it be appropriate for us to wait until a lawsuit is filed and let the courts figure this out the way they do in other cases?
I don't have an opinion on that. I'm here because the governor's placed the issue on the call.
The real action will start here at 9 a.m. on Wednesday with a meeting of the newly formed joint committees on disaster preparedness and flooding. In Austin, I'm Adam Schwager.
And in an open letter, the Texas House Democrats asked the Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows, to take up flooding legislation first before taking up redistricting.
Going in depth, between 1876 and 2025, the state has had more than 100 special sessions. That's according to the Legislative Reference Library of Texas. Digging a little deeper on special sessions, Governor Greg Abbott has certain rules to follow. He has no limit to how many sessions can be called, but the governor cannot call a new session until the current one ends. And they are allowed to submit unrelated resolutions. Also, a special session cannot last any longer than 30 days.
All right, thanks so much, Nick. The Central Texas housing market is showing signs of stabilizing more after a bumpy start to the year. According to new data from Unlock MLS, home sales across the area ticked up slightly in June, while prices stayed flat and inventory actually climbed. Joining us now to talk about what this means is Brandy Winch. She is the president of the Austin Board of Realtors and Unlock MLS. Brandy, welcome and thanks for being with us. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So a lot of people are going to be wanting to hear about this news. So we are more than halfway through the year. So what are some of the main takeaways from the numbers? Is it an improvement?
It is an improvement. What it is showing us that the Central Texas housing market is finding its footing and it's stabilizing. While the year-to-date sales are down slightly, it's very moderate. And so with the 2.8% increase in June sales, it is showing that we are having momentum.
Okay, so we have seen inventory increase, as we mentioned a few moments ago, as well as median prices staying pretty steady at this time. What does that combination mean for both buyers and sellers out there?
So for buyers, the increased inventory means that there are more choices, more negotiating power, and obviously they can take their time. And then they don't have competition. They don't have to worry about paying over list price when it comes to buying a home. And when it comes to sellers, it is very clear, the message is very clear that pricing, being flexible on pricing, and presentation is key to staying competitive.
Okay, hear that out there, sellers? Keep note. Well, affordability obviously is a big challenge for the community here in Austin, and especially for first-time buyers. Are there any signs that that could be improving? I know a lot of people are wondering about that.
Yes, affordability continues to be a very complex and challenging in our market, and a lot of that has to do with elevated mortgage rates and, of course, the higher prices. That being said, we are starting to see a little bit of improvement in the availability of homes within a more attainable price point, but also the challenges of some buyers being able to get qualified or secure their financing while it's still present, it doesn't mean it's impossible. Like I like to tell my clients, now doesn't mean never.
Okay, well, Brandy, we will leave our conversation there. Thank you so much
Sure,
for the status
absolutely.
update. We appreciate it.
Thank you for